All right, so now that we've got the main frame done, we're gonna do the swing arm now. So first thing we're gonna do is the rear axle plates. We got 3-inch cold rolled round stock. I machined it down already on the lathe to a 45-degree angle to a 1.5-inch round piece here, and then it's neck down to the ID of the tubing. And then it's hollowed out and got a hole drilled for the pusher bolt that I'll thread later. So yeah, this neck down for the ID, it'll be a slug that the tube can go in. Less chance of anything going bad with it. So right now we're gonna lay it down in the mill and start lopping it off. We're gonna make this into a rectangle and start pocketing it out and stuff. But for right now, we will get it locked down, use the face mill, and start whipping off a whole bunch of material. And we'll make these start to look like an axle plate. Right, so we got the two axle plates all squared up. Yeah, so we got the blue layout die on it. Got all my lines marked out. So now we're gonna plunge down with end mill, pocket this all out, and then come in with a long 3/8 end mill, and then clean up the edges. So we'll have a tight little radius there. We'll have that all pocketed out, and then we will put in the holes, the oblong holes for the chain tension and stuff. So get doing that, and we'll also round over all the corners like we have on everything else. So head over to the mill. Alright, so we got the two axle plates done. Still need to thread the hole for the pusher bolt and clean them all up just with, flap wheels and die grinders. Clean them all up, make them look good, and we'll sand them. They'll be ready to go. Now we have for the pivot mounts basically the same thing. It's 2.5 inch instead of 3 inch stock, and we're going to mill it down, and it should just be skinny 1 inch here, and then the whole width. Then we'll round over the end, put a hole in for the bearing, and we're going to heat it up, put it in the vise, and bend it to the degree we want to come off of the bearing for the pivot, and then it'll kind of cant over to the pipe and go back to these guys. So we will get on the mill and then shave this all off to 1 inch on both of them. So. All right, so we got these pivot mounts all machined up, squared up. They're down to 1 inch wide here, and then we will put the bearing in there, and then the shaft will have a little place to ride on, the shaft between the two inner races. So yeah, these coming out of the bike, they need to be on an angle. So I'm thinking we're gonna heat these up red hot, put them in the vise, put a pipe on here, and then bend them to a 35-degree angle. So we're going to go over to the vise, start heating one up, place it in there, and see how it goes. Hopefully it works. Hopefully I don't fuck these, but we shall see. All right, so scratch that. I tried to heat these things up, ran out of acetylene, so ended up going somewhere else, heating them up, and then putting them in a massive press with a V block and with a big V and two V's that meet each other. Basically turned into a press brake and pressed it. And yeah, now we got a bend. It's going to work. I'm happy with it. But now we got to go on to the milling machine, drill the hole, do the center hole for the shaft. There's a shaft that goes in between the two inner races. So drill the hole for that, and then we'll touch off, drop down, and then we'll put it on the rotary table, touch off, drop down, and then bore out the hole for the bearing on the rotary table, and then we'll clean up the edges. So we'll do that, and then we'll go over this whole thing, clean up this pressed mark where it was hot and it dipped in. We'll clean up all that and make them not look black and oxidey up and all that. So yeah, we'll get these on the mill right now. Right, so we got the two pivots, bearings all pressed in. They're fitting in there good. I made a aluminum piece here and bored the holes out to 1.5 inch. So, or sorry, 1.25 inch. So now that the tube touches the inner races of the bearing, so you can tighten it up, and they still move freely and nice and tight. And so those are in. We also have the rear axle plates on. Need to kind of set them up to the right width and everything. So yeah, for right now, we're going to weld in the rear shock mount that I made. We'll weld those in, and then we will get them, we can figure out where the shock's going to go, figure out the length, where the axle should go, because I might have to move it a little further back. But right now we'll get the shock kind of tack welded on, and then we'll move from there. So we're getting the first pieces of tubing for the swing arm all cut and bent up. Next week we're going to jump right into building the swing arm, get all the pipes cut, put on, start welding things together. Hopefully we can have this thing as a roller soon. Thanks for watching.